This is the YMB and BTC podcast.
Cryptocurrency decrypted.
Welcome to episode 37. Today's show is a little different. We'll be chatting about the hacker who gained control of Satoshi Nakamoto's email account. But before we have our conversation together, each host will be sharing some thoughts separately. When we meet up again, we'll chat about what the attacker has already accessed and accomplished, and we'll try to predict what might happen with Bitcoin and Satoshi as a result of these events. This episode also includes some information about a Bitcoin parody, Buttcoin. Stay tuned for all of that and more. Your hosts are Tim Baker, John Stewart, and myself, Daniel Brown. Here we go. Hey everybody, this will be episode 37 of the YMB and BTC podcast. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today. I am Daniel Brown, and I'm here with Tim Baker.
Hello everybody.
And John Stewart.
Howdy.
So, we actually have a pretty interesting idea lined up for today. We've never done this before, and it's just something crazy that we wanted to try. I mean, it's not like going to be our regular episode that we do from now on. No, this is just a weird thing that we wanted to do. But basically, the idea was that we would get a story. It's a really good story too. Just came out today, which I'm sure by the time you guys are hearing this, you'll probably know. But all this crazy Satoshi stuff where his email was hacked and supposedly someone is going to be able to DOX him and find out a lot of information about him. So that'll be interesting. But the idea was that we would all, before we really talked about it much among ourselves, we would read the stories and record separately just to, I don't know. Well, the main reason I wanted to do this is because I kind of felt bullied, you know? I come on here every week and Tim and John just shove their ideas in my face and I don't even get a chance to say what I want to say. So, I'm sorry, guys. That's what I feel like.
Well, I guess now people are going to hear how incoherent I am, so you get a double helping of revenge, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't bitch nearly as much as you did in my one. I didn't complain about people, but I kind of just stumbled around.
Me or Daniel?
Daniel.
Who did I complain about?
Like the first 5 minutes of recording was about...
You did do a couple voices, like impersonations.
Oh, I don't
or like mockings of people.
I don't even remember those. Now I have to listen again. But yeah, so we all recorded some responses separately, and I don't feel that bullied. I just feel a little bit bullied by Tim.
A little bit.
Anyway, so I didn't explain the story that much myself in my recording, but Tim and John did. So I don't think there's much we need to tell you guys now, especially since it's just a fairly big story and you probably already know. So is there anything we should add before we just jump into these recordings?
Just that, no, I'll say it afterwards.
Alright, I guess not then. So, yeah, here's all three of our recordings individually. Before we really talked about this much, you'll get our own perspectives completely bully-free, and I hope you enjoy it. It'll be in some kind of order. Probably with me first, because I'm the best, so...
I just want you to know, Daniel, I was judging you the entire time I was listening to that.
Tim, you are so mean.
And me and Tim got to hear it before it was edited. So, if you think Daniel's awesome, you should listen to our opinions first.
Yeah, maybe. Alright, so we will be right back and give you some collective thoughts on each other and the stories and everything. So, enjoy.
Okay, so Daniel had this idea for us to each kind of just record our own responses to the story of Satoshi Nakamoto's email possibly being hijacked and there being a potential doxing of him in the future. And so we're all going to record separately, and then we're going to bring it together, and then we're going to talk about our responses afterwards. Anyway, so here's mine. Looking at this, I had heard about this a little bit beforehand. I wasn't entirely sure what was going on. I thought it was more of a ransom thing going on. Like the hacker was saying that he wasn't, like he was going to release the docs if he wasn't paid off or something like that. But reading this article now from CoinDesk, it talks about how the hacker, he made a post on Pastebin, which I had to look up and try to figure out what that is. Pastebin, if no one knows, is just a website where you can paste documents for a certain amount of time. And he said that I have the Pastebin link up right now. It says, releasing the so-called gods, in quotes, docs, if my address hits 25 BTC. And no, this is not a scam. You can see below screenshots for proof of inbox and ownership and a little teaser. And then it shows his Bitcoin address. And then I guess he also posted this on P2P Foundation. So whoever did this, or at least said they did it, it looks like there's two possibilities here. They either did successfully hack the email, which there's some stuff saying that is what happened, or Satoshi's old email, which is satoshin@gmx.com, expired and was picked up by another user, and this is kind of just a ruse to get someone some money. But, I mean, the article talks about a response from the administrator Thymos of the Bitcoin Talk Forum, which is, I think it's Michael Marquette, I don't know, where he says that he received an email from Satoshin@gmx, and he says the contents make him pretty sure that the account has been compromised. The email doesn't look spoofed. So, right now, I'm leaning more towards that it's compromised and that the email account didn't just run out, because there's another quoting here. It's a tweet from Peter Todd saying that he got another forwarded email from Satoshi from 2011, which he thinks indicates it's a hijacked account, not expired and re-registered. So, like I said, I'm leaning more towards that it has been legitimately hacked or something like that. I don't know what all that means necessarily. Again, in this article, it talks about there was a post on the P2P Foundation's Ning. And again, I'm not going to act like I know what that means, but their message board as a reply to Nakamoto's original introduction to Bitcoin, saying, Dear Satoshi, your docs, passwords, and IP addresses are being sold on the darknet. Apparently, from what this is saying, Satoshi didn't configure Tor properly, and his IP got leaked when he used his email account back at some point in 2010. So you're not safe. You need to get out of where you are as soon as possible before these people harm you. Thank you for inventing Bitcoin. It's interesting that he says you need to get out of where you are as soon as possible before these people harm you, because you're thinking what people are going to be harming him. If you're thinking the government, or is it someone who is against Bitcoin's principles? Or is it someone going after him for the money? Or is it just whatever? I mean, because that's interesting. And then the other interesting part of this story is that analysts disagree, but there's Satoshi Nakamoto could have as many as 1 million Bitcoin, which is going to be a decent amount of money that he's sitting on. But what's going to happen with the price and just with everyone else if he decides to sell some of it, or if he decides to start spending it, it starts getting moved around from addresses. Because as we know, the addresses in Bitcoin aren't anonymous. It's just if you can separate yourself from the addresses. Like, Satoshi stayed anonymous for about 6 years now, which is a pretty incredible feat. But these wallets or these addresses have been watched really closely for a while now, and so far none of the funds have been touched. But, I mean, we'll have to see what happens if he actually does get doxxed, which I guess if no one knows, doxxed is online when you expose their address and their telephone number and different stuff like that. There's a quote in that article, I think it was Michael, I think, who said this. Yeah, that Bitcoin runs on drama, so he thinks it'll do wonders for the recent price slump. I'm not sure. I more just feel like it might go down just because it kind of takes away that little bit of a mystique behind Bitcoin and its creator being anonymous. I'm not saying I think it should. Like, there's plenty of other people who've been involved in Bitcoin very openly, but now that the person who designed the code has a possibility of being revealed, some people might start worrying, because now they have like a person to put this on and say, well, maybe he made mistakes. Even though we all run it now and we have a bunch of other people developing it and checking it and trying to improve on it, there's still, if there's a possibility for it having a face now, I feel like more people are going to get scared away from it, possibly. Maybe they might sell off their stuff, or at least sell off part of it. So I more see the price going down after this. I don't know if he's going to try to sell his Bitcoin, whoever him, her, whoever is going to try to sell their Bitcoin. I'd imagine it would depend on what the reaction from everyone else would be. If everyone else kind of goes crazy about it, trying to bother him and just generally being obnoxious, I could see maybe just trying to just dump it and just get away from it and then just trying to disappear again, maybe. But I guess I don't know how that would help, because then he'd have a bunch of money that would stick with him and be easily traceable through the banking system, which, I don't know. I feel like there's a pretty big chance that the government would go after him just for just legal issues that Bitcoin has gone through. If not the U.S. government, then other governments too. But the U.S. government has been one of the more, they haven't been really hostile to it, but they've definitely not been very welcoming to it. Like, it hasn't been where they've just outright banned it, but they've been very deprecating of it sometimes. The media, on the other hand, they will definitely go after him. We saw in, I think it was Newsweek, when they said that they had found Satoshi Nakamoto, and it was just this retarded article about basically just some random guy that they found that had the name Satoshi Nakamoto, and then they decided to run the story saying that this was him, and as far as I know, they still have not, recanted on saying that it was him. So I feel like, I don't know what Newsweek is going to do in this situation, unless they might just have to eventually admit that they were stupid and just bothered some guy. But I definitely think the media go after him, because the media does it loves Bitcoin, and like I was saying before, now that there's a face and people can point and say, well, all this Bitcoin stuff is based off of this guy's plans, how can you put your faith into such a small, something that is controlled by one person? I think the media will really like that as a way to criticize Bitcoin and kind of bring it down, which again will then lead to the price dropping, I think. Like I was saying before, I don't know enough about computers and computer security, though, to say that even if the email is legitimately hacked and all this stuff is real and everything, I don't know what then that means for if he can be found. Because, if you're just going off the email, then I don't know what all, it completely depends on what he sent in his email. Did he talk about an address? Or I guess they said that his IP address was leaked over a tour. But, that depends on if he's still in that same area and now where he is, and if he still uses stuff similar to that, I guess. Like I said, I don't know enough about computer and computer security to say if I think they're really going to find him, if the hijacking of the email account is actually real. But, I guess we'll just have to see. Me, personally, I feel like I hope they don't find him, just because, not because I have this, at least I don't think, I might, but I don't think it's because I have this romantic view of it all, saying that, well, it'll be better if we don't know who it is. I think it's more just, I don't want someone to have to go through getting bothered so much like this and have this much scrutiny on him, and having the million Bitcoin, that's going to put a pretty big target on his back for any hackers to then go, hackers or people in real life just trying to go and just steal money from him. And I don't want to see someone have to go through that, so I really hope he doesn't get outed, but we'll see. And I guess we'll see how this whole recording separately and then coming back together goes, so bye.
How's it going? Daniel Brown here. By myself this time. I don't know if I've ever actually done that on our regular podcast. I got left alone in our last live show, but anyway. So yeah, we're talking about this crazy Satoshi story, and I'm just gonna give my own take by myself. You know, finally I got set free from all those weirdos who try to impress their opinion on me, like, you know, Tim and John, and anyway, I'm just kidding. But yeah, just gonna take this by myself, see what I think, and later, I guess I'll find out what everybody else thinks. So, here's one of the main things that I wanted to talk about with this story, the price, because I heard somebody saying that they thought this was kind of the end, that they were gonna just sell all their Bitcoins and they thought the price would crash, they don't want anything to do with them. And to be entirely honest, I feel bad for that person. I really do, and anybody else that thinks along those lines, because to me that tells me that you're in Bitcoin for pretty much all of the wrong reasons. Like, you don't really seem to understand what Bitcoin is about. Now, I get it. If people find Satoshi, that's, you know, in a lot of ways that's a bad thing. And you know what? I think the price probably will go down. I think, actually what I really think is once they really do find him, if it's, you know, confirmed enough and everything, if they're fairly certain, I think there's going to be a bit of a flash spike, downward spike, just like we saw when the Silk Road was taken down. Now, the numbers for the price were really different back then, but I want to say it went something like 120 down to $70 in literally a couple minutes, maybe half an hour, something like that. It was really quick. It crashed fast. And that was, you know, yeah, when Ross Ulbricht was arrested and the Silk Road was taken down and everything. Now, what probably happened there is that basically people were like, well, I don't actually think that this is the end of Bitcoin, but maybe some people will, and I expect the price is going to crash. And so they wanted to short their Bitcoins. They just sold them off so that when the price really did drop down to 70 all of a sudden, they could just buy them right back and make a quick buck. And I guess, you know, if enough people do that, then it's just kind of almost like a Ponzi scheme. Like, it's just kind of depends on luck and timing. If you get lucky and you time it just right, sure, you'll make a bit of money. Otherwise, you lose money, and that's what I think happened back then, and I think something similar could happen if they really do find Satoshi, or if something crazy happens, more weird stories like this. And I think we could see it, just a real quick flash drop. Yeah, maybe it could even last a day or two or a week, because, you know, just depending on the news or what happens and who finds what. So I could see something like that, but long term, like we've been telling you guys endlessly in this show, the price has nothing to do with really anything out in the world. Bitcoin is its own thing. It doesn't care who created it. It doesn't care what people are doing with it. It's not connected to people. It's not related to people themselves. It just goes on by itself. It's just 21 million things out there that people can send to whoever they want. That's all it is, okay? It doesn't care who's sending them to who, and doesn't care who found out the address of who or anything. So that's something I really wanted to throw out there. Now, there's a couple questions about, you know, will the media actually go after him and find him? And then will the government maybe try to go after him and find him? Now, the media, of course, we've seen it before. They made a complete joke out of themselves, the media did, as they were trying to find Dorian Satoshi and crap like that. And I know Andreas just, he's really passionate about that and about how dumb the media was and that kind of thing. I'm not quite as passionate as Andreas Antonopoulos, but I generally agree with him. Like, just leave him alone. Even if it really was Satoshi Nakamoto, like, what difference does it make? Just leave him alone. Don't harass him. Don't write stories about him and put him in huge magazines and crap like that. So, but the media thrives on excitement and mysteries or stuff like that. Of course they're going to try and find this guy. Of course they're going to claim that somebody that could be him is him, as long as it's profitable for them. Yeah, that's going to happen. All right, it just is. And it's going to suck if the wrong person gets found and if he's harassed or whatever. We don't want any of that, but it could easily happen again, just like it did before. I would say that's fairly likely. And darn, there's not much else you can say. It just stinks, and that's the way the media is. As for the government, that's a little tougher. Now, on the one hand, I'm fairly certain that they will try to find him, and they do care about who he is and what he's doing and stuff like that. I feel like at the very least they'll follow the story, if not take part in the search. I feel like that's pretty certain, but then the question is, are they gonna go after him legally? Are they gonna prosecute him for anything? And that's a little tougher because they have done that before. Not to Satoshi, of course, but with the Liberty Dollar operation, which we've talked about in several episodes before, yes, we have seen the government go after someone who was making a private form of money. We've seen that before. And I feel like they will definitely want to go after Satoshi. If they do find him, they're going to want to prosecute him and everything. But what I don't know is, are they going to have much of a case? Now, I know in general the government doesn't care if they have a case, but they also don't want to do something so crazy that the people are just like, well, I mean, I guess they do that kind of stuff a lot anyway, but in general, like, sometimes the government will stay out of things if they know they don't really have a case, if they know that it's going to just make people crazily upset and stuff like that. I don't know. I feel weird saying this because maybe that's the exact opposite of what usually happens. But intuitively, kind of what I think is they're just going to be like, well, yeah, I guess we're pretty sure he did make Bitcoin, but we're just going to upset a bunch of people and cause problems, and it's not worth really trying to put him in prison. Because even with the Liberty Dollar thing, yeah, they went in and stole all of his gold, but he still has never been sentenced or anything like that. And I feel like that maybe could be the kind of mindset with Satoshi. It's just like, not worth it. It's too late, maybe. Could be part of their thoughts. We're just going to leave it alone, maybe. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see. But then one last thing that I wanted to touch on is I saw mentioned in this CoinDesk article about this story how they are keeping an eye on the blockchain and on the Bitcoins that are supposedly still owned by Satoshi. Like, they project up to like 1 million Bitcoins could be under his control. Now, here's my kind of theory on those coins. I think that either he does have access to them, but he just basically plans not to use them ever. I think he's the kind of person who would understand that if I use these or if I just sell them off into the market, first of all, that's going to make the price drop. So they're going to, as I start selling them, they're going to become less valuable. But also, I think he would recognize that there are going to be people out there who are going to be like, look, the creator just did this because he wanted to get rich. It's not really a good idea. It's not really revolutionary. Some guy was just making a get-rich-quick scheme for himself. And I think he recognizes that if he sold all of them, that people would say that a lot of people might then go after Bitcoin and say bad things about it or whatnot. And I feel like, again, it's pure speculation, but I feel like he just would understand that, oh, it's probably better for the entire Bitcoin community if I just don't sell them or use them ever. And because of that, the other possibility is that I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he intentionally destroyed the private keys for those coins. Just because, yeah, same reason. He doesn't want to tempt himself to use them. He's trying not to ruin Bitcoin. He's trying not to get bad attention around Bitcoin. And he just doesn't want to ruin the community and the value and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he intentionally destroyed the private keys, and maybe those coins are completely and fully inaccessible by anyone. So that's a crazy thought that I had. And I guess we'll just have to keep an eye on all this crazy stuff and see where it all goes over the next weeks and months. And honestly, it's happening fast enough that I kind of expect there will be some big news by the time this is even released, this episode. I feel like there might be some big moves in the story and whatnot, but I guess we'll just see and keep track of everything, and hopefully you've been entertained. So, thanks.
Alright, so I guess probably most people who are into Bitcoin have heard of Satoshi, or yeah, they've heard of Satoshi, I'm sure. So I guess this was posted today, earlier in the morning. It's from CoinDesk. The headline is Hacker Hijacks Satoshi Nakamoto's Email, Threatens to Reveal All. So I guess what's been happening is, well, first somebody posted on Pastebin that they would reveal key details of Satoshi's identity if people basically donated 25 Bitcoin to a certain address. And then people have been getting emails from an account that Satoshi used to use. So it seems like some of his stuff has been compromised, or somebody might have figured out how to hack into some of his accounts or into his stuff. One of the administrators of the Bitcoin Talk forum said he got an email from Satoshi's old email, and that it was definitely not spoofed. So it seems like it was hacked. Some people think that it might have expired and been re-registered, but then people are saying that whoever has it has access to his old emails, which wouldn't be possible if it was just hacked and reclaimed. But nobody's really sure about that as of yet. Yeah, and then the article just kind of finishes off by talking about how Satoshi's kind of been this enigmatic figure in Bitcoin, and it's like the big mystery around Bitcoin, I guess, and talks about how people have been watching to see his coins get moved and stuff like that, which is not really news. The main thing is about his stuff getting hacked. So I guess there are a lot of questions that could be asked about this. We came up with a few before deciding to record this episode. Some people aren't sure, or might question whether this will affect the price at all. You know, I'm not really sure about this one. In the article, apparently that guy Thamos, who's the administrator of the Bitcoin Talk forum, apparently he said everyone knows that Bitcoin runs on drama, so this should do wonders for the recent price slump. I can't really be sure about this. I mean, I don't think anybody can. It's proved in the past to be somewhat unpredictable. It's kind of hard to tell what's going to happen, especially with something like this, because I don't know. I mean, Satoshi's identity and stuff has been such a hotly debated topic that it's kind of hard to tell what new info on him would actually do. Like, if he starts moving coins around, would it scare people, or would it encourage people to start using Bitcoins? I'm not really sure. I don't think I can answer that question decisively. Will the government go after him is our next question. Maybe. I mean, if they did, I don't know what it would be for. Maybe money laundering, like they've gone after other people like Charlie Shrem, and yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I don't think they could go after him just for creating it. Yeah, but money laundering kind of just seems like their catch-all. We've talked about this before. Money laundering kind of just seems like their catch-all for going after big people in Bitcoin that they kind of just don't like. So maybe. Will the media go after him is our next question, and I think absolutely they will. I mean, there was that Newsweek article that came out last spring, I think, several months ago, where they were like, we found Satoshi, and then this guy was just getting harassed by the media and all kinds of people. And then they started like a fund that you could donate to kind of pay this guy to try to compensate him for getting harassed by people. So yeah, I think the media would be all over this and probably would start harassing him and causing all kinds of trouble. Next, should people sell? No, I don't think so. Satoshi started this whole thing, but now that it's started, what he does I don't think really matters. I don't think it should change our minds about anything, no matter what he does, or no matter what comes out about him. Like, if you believe in Bitcoin, there's no reason to let somebody else change your opinion if Bitcoin is still the same. And Satoshi's identity being revealed or him moving coins around doesn't change Bitcoin just because he's the person that created it. So I don't think people should sell unless they were already planning to sell. Will they sell? Maybe. Like I said earlier, I think something like this, like his identity coming out or him getting hacked, could affect a bunch of people in different ways. Some people might just be like, oh, well, he's just kind of like a normal person. Like, anybody could get hacked. There's no reason for this to change anything. Or other people might freak out just because he's the guy that started it. Will they find him? If he's actually been hacked, I would say that he'll probably be found out sooner or later. If this is all just some kind of scam or just somebody trying to get people riled up or whatever, maybe not. Any chance he will try to sell the 1 million Bitcoin he supposedly has? Again, I don't know. And this is one of those things too where, like, if he does sell it, is this going to freak people out? Because they're like, well, there must be something wrong with Bitcoin if the guy who invented it doesn't want it anymore. But like I said, even if he changes his mind, that doesn't mean you should change your mind unless you have a good reason to. So unless you notice something that you didn't realize before, some new information about Bitcoin itself comes out, I don't think it should matter whether he sells his Bitcoin or not. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if he does actually get found out and people find all his information, I could see him selling stuff just because people are like, oh, he has so much money, like, he has so much Bitcoin. Like, I could see people trying to hack his addresses or find his private keys somewhere, which hopefully I would assume that he knows enough to protect that kind of information, and then it wouldn't be very easy to find. But, I mean, people are probably, if they figure out who he is, people are probably going to try to get some of his money, or if they can, like, steal it or whatever. So, I mean, maybe he should sell and then start up new stuff and try to be a little bit more secretive. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really have too many more thoughts on that. So, yeah.
Well, everybody, wasn't that just wonderful listening to us stumble all over ourselves? I realized while I was doing mine that this is why I shouldn't do things by myself, because, like, I've noticed whenever we've done the live show sometimes, and I've had to talk for a while because Daniel's trying to mess with a cable or something like that to set it up, I start to run out of stuff to say really quick because I constantly...
Tim, I gave you questions that you could answer.
No, I know, but I constantly end sentences with... I kind of just, like, peter out and then, or say,
you do that a lot. You do that when you're starting to say something too. Like, it's almost like you assume that everyone knows what you're going to say, so you just say like half a sentence and then skip to the next sentence.
Yeah, like that. But yeah, it was interesting. It was weird not having someone else there to bounce it off of.
I was just going to say that you were kind of right, Daniel, and, like, it's kind of funny because I didn't really start noticing it until we started recording podcasts, because, like, when Tim, he'll, like, leave out half of a sentence and I can insert it because I know him well enough to, like, figure out what he was trying to say, but, like, people listening probably don't. Right,
so Tim, you should really apologize to everyone that listens to you.
Well, that's what the editing's for, is you try to edit to make it sound like I'm not constantly doing that.
All right, you know what? Fine, Tim, then you should apologize to me for making me do all that editing and making you look good.
I'm pretty sure I do that most of the time anyway.
Tim, you have no idea how hard it is to make you sound good, okay?
Didn't you just do this on the live show a few days ago? You had me apologize for something?
Probably.
I think you did.
You know, this has got me thinking we should just save this all and do a roast episode. And we can roast each other.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. I mean, I don't know if we could save this because we need an episode for this week, but I like the roast idea. All right, well, anyway, Tim, any thoughts on the actual story? Did I enlighten you with my recording?
I mean, I had already read the thing.
I know, but like, did you realize when you heard my recording that everything that you thought about the story was wrong and actually I was right?
Yes, Daniel, I did.
All right, good.
The one thing I did I saw this earlier today and I didn't mention it while I was recording. You guys remember back when Roger Ver someone was threatening him at all? The Bitcoin Jesus guy, a hacker was threatening to reveal something about him or something along those lines, and he put out a bounty on him, and that scared the hacker off.
I kind of remember that, yeah.
Okay, well, now Roger Ver put something out on Twitter that he's offering another bounty on this person, and he says it seems like it's the same guy. I don't know how he's saying that it's the same, or how he would know.
Huh.
Yeah, Roger Ver says the Satoshi email hacker seems to be the same person that hacked my email account the other month. He's using the exact same photos for his Twitter account and the same names. Clerk God and 1337 in the names. I suppose now is a good time to mention that I'm still offering the 37.6 Bitcoin bounty for the person who provides the information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the hacker.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy that he's like actually using the same pictures and everything. I mean, so it's either the same person or somebody that just wanted people to think it was the same person. So,
Yeah.
Well, hey, one thought that I had, I don't remember if it was something that one of you two said specifically or if I just thought this while I was listening, but I think, wasn't it it said that Satoshi misconfigured Tor?
Yeah.
But didn't it say that was a couple months ago or
It said it was in 2010.
Right. Yeah, 2010. So my question is this. If that's when the problem happened, why are we just now hearing about it? Why did the hacker wait so long? Or like, where did he get the information? I don't know. Like, how does that time gap even happen? If he screwed up Tor a long time ago, why did it take this long to get hacked or something?
Yeah, I don't know. Unless someone was holding on to it for a while. Because that was left on the same place where Satoshi's original, like, introduction to Bitcoin thing was. It was like this person was concerned for him and telling him to watch out, so it's almost like maybe he heard about it or he was someone who was on the dark web.
Well, that is true, yeah, because he did say your information is being sold on the dark web.
So I don't know if maybe, someone like held it for a while, although...
Yeah.
And then now they're just like, oh, well, let's do it now. But I don't know.
Well, wait, what did you just say? Sorry, repeat that again. Sorry, I was like on the bus yesterday and it got stuck in traffic and I'm pretty sure those fumes messed me up. I was so screwed up yesterday. Like, I came home and did nothing but like drank chocolate milk all night. It was pretty bad, so I think I'm still recovering. What was that?
What he said, the thing about Satoshi not configuring Tor correctly, it was saying, Satoshi, watch out, you need to get out of here, and it said stuff like, these people are looking for you, and that your docs are being sold on the dark web. So it seemed like it was from a concerned person who maybe saw them being sold, or had some kind of information on it, but somehow had seen them being sold on the darknet, and then was telling him there as kind of like hoping that he checks that place again to see that this is happening, that hopefully he gets out of it or something like that. So what we were talking about was, like, if it was back in 2010 that happened, why are we only hearing about it now? Why is the hacker only going after him now? And I was just saying maybe it's because the person was just waiting, like they had some information, and maybe they're waiting for it to get bigger, and you would have thought they would have done it back when the price was higher, but then again, they might have thought the price was going to go higher, and then it went down. They're like, okay, I'll wait for it to go back up, and then it stayed at 400 or
right
around 500 for a while now, so maybe they're going with it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's also possible, I guess, like what it sounds like he's saying is that so he configured Tor improperly, so this guy found his IP address. Well, I guess potentially it could have taken him a while to get other stuff just from knowing his IP address. Like, especially if he wasn't being active.
Right. Is that what it said, that they found his IP address?
It said his IP address was leaked. It may have said something more, but
Yeah. So if you improperly set it up, that's the weakness, that somebody would find your IP address and be able to use that to get other stuff. Well, if he's being inactive, or if he has like several IP addresses that he uses, which is also probably likely, it could have taken a while to figure out stuff just from having the IP address, I guess.
Right.
And I also think Tim's thing about this guy just like waiting around for a while is also
like for
maybe
the price, like maybe he was hoping that the price would be higher and Satoshi would be more popular and he could get a lot more money for it, but maybe now he's like, okay, this could be my last chance. If maybe he thinks Bitcoin's going to crash, maybe he just wants to get what he can out of this.
Or he could have even been trying to get like more, like maybe he was trying to find Satoshi's private keys or something like that.
Oh yeah.
He's just like, now he's like, well, I'm just going to give up on that and just try to like ransom this.
Right. Definitely.
Or I guess it's not really ransom, but sell it or whatever.
Yeah. And I like both of those ideas, or however many ideas we just threw out there. But another thought that I had is, if maybe it wasn't technically the hacker that got this information, like the IP address leak or whatever. Maybe the IP address leaked and it was just sitting somewhere at like an ISP somewhere or on some server somewhere where nobody really knew that it leaked. Nobody knew that who it was or what it was until maybe this hacker got into an ISP or they found the servers or whatever. So basically what I'm saying is maybe it leaked for a while but was just sitting somewhere and people didn't know what it was or weren't touching it or looking at it until now the hacker hacked into something somewhere and found out, oh, hey, look, this is Satoshi's email or IP address or whatever. So that could be a possibility too.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting too. Like we were saying, maybe he wants to get as much money as he can out of this. Well, he's selling... he's not quite selling the information for Bitcoins. He's just saying that he will put the information out there if he gets enough Bitcoin, which I think is interesting because it's kind of, I guess most of us said that we actually didn't expect the price to crash, but it would be interesting because you would kind of expect that if all this is happening, the price might at least go down for a little bit. And so, especially the hacker might think that. So, like, he's selling it for 25 Bitcoins, which the act of him selling all this information should theoretically lower the value of those Bitcoins. So that's kind of interesting, except for maybe the fact that there's not really any other way to do it that's really anonymous except to do it for Bitcoins. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we haven't really talked about the fact that he could just be lying about all this stuff too. Yeah. And even if he actually hacked into the email address, he might not have anything else. Right.
That's true. And yeah, it could be somebody just trying to be a pain and get some Bitcoins while he's at it. I could see that. But still, I think it would be hard to be in somebody's email account and not have a lot of information, I guess. I think he said somewhere in some story I heard that the hacker was claiming that he found an address actually where Satoshi had something shipped to himself somewhere in, I want to say, Missouri, but supposedly he has his actual address. I don't know how, like physical address, not Bitcoin address.
Yeah.
I don't know how accurate that is, but that's another interesting possibility. But yeah, of course it is true. Maybe it's just some guy trying to be a huge pain in the butt. I don't know.
Or he's just trying to scam people.
Right, and
25 Bitcoin.
Exactly, and get some Bitcoins while he's at it. I also read that the address that he asked for the 25 Bitcoin hasn't received a whole lot so far. And
yeah.
I feel like it probably won't. Like, most of the Bitcoin community enjoys the anonymity or something, I think, and they respect the anonymity quite a bit. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple jerks out there who are like, yeah, let's go get him. But those aren't the kind of people who are going to put 25 Bitcoins behind it, I don't think.
Yeah, that doesn't really surprise me at all. I mean, we saw when they went after that, when Newsweek went after that guy, which I think all of us mentioned in our thing. When that happened, people were like starting up this fund for him. So I think most people are trying to protect him.
Yeah.
So I'm not really surprised at all that it's been.
Yeah, and like I said, Andreas Antonopoulos was all worked up about that Newsweek thing, and I can't say I'm quite as concerned about it as Antonopoulos is, but yeah, in general, like, just leave him alone. Who cares?
Indeed.
You're listening to the You, Me, and BTC podcast. We need your help. First of all, we'd love it if you could check out our website, youmeandbtc.com. There you can find donation addresses for every single article and episode, and we'd love it if you could make use of those. We could also use some fans and followers, so if you're willing, please visit Facebook or Twitter.com/youmeandbtc. Lastly, remember to subscribe to the show. You can do that on iTunes or sign up on our website to receive email updates. Thanks for your support. So one other thing that I don't think any of us actually mentioned, but it's an interesting part of this story, is that, let me see, I'll just read the quote. Bitcoin's source code page on SourceForge also redirected to an anti-Bitcoin troll site, Buttcoin.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that and I forgot to. I was going to bring it up.
That's kind of crazy. Like, I mean, I guess even though Satoshi has retired from the Bitcoin community, I guess he still had the main account behind the SourceForge page for it. I guess that would make sense. It was probably his account. And yeah, supposedly that was messed with. It was changed to redirect to Buttcoin for a while.
Did you guys look at Buttcoin at all?
No, I didn't actually.
No.
I did. We can talk about that once you finish.
Okay. But so I guess that's at least one example, John, of where he did get more than the email. Yeah, I mean, I guess he's in here somehow, which that could be bad too. The article, this CoinDesk article, says that try not to download anything from the SourceForge for a while because it could be kind of malicious now. So
yeah, that's a good point.
So there is also one thing that we can't finish this episode without talking about. What if Satoshi wasn't hacked? What if this is actually him just trying to be a joke?
Wait, if it's Satoshi trying to be a joke.
Yeah, what if he's just like, I mean, I don't know why he would want to scam for 25 Bitcoins if he has millions of them. Maybe he, like I said in my recording, that maybe he intentionally destroyed his private keys, but maybe he did it on accident and now he's like, oh crap, I gotta get some money out of this somehow.
I find that pretty far-fetched.
Yeah.
I also, I don't know. I mean, I guess doing something like this might actually be some kind of roundabout way of trying to make yourself even more anonymous.
Ooh.
Just like, it could be some kind of red herring or something.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Like, now if they do find him, he could be like, actually, I'm not him, I'm just the hacker that said I knew where he was or something. Yeah, there is, I could kind of see that. If he's kind of working up some weird scheme to, be even more anonymous. Maybe.
Or just throw people off.
Yeah. Distract them or confuse them. Just add more details to the mix to make him even harder to find. Yeah. Or actually also, I would say that this is fairly unlikely, but just something, is that Thamos is the one who broke this story for the most part, which, Tim, you screwed up his name quite a bit, but yeah, Thamos. So I don't actually think that Thamos is Satoshi, but an example of kind of just a red herring like we're describing is, let's say Thamos was Satoshi. If he broke this story and was leading people towards this hacker and towards all these other details and whatnot, that would be a good way to kind of protect Thamos, because they'd be like, well, why would he post these stories and send all these people after Satoshi if he was Satoshi himself? I don't think that's actually true, but that's just kind of an example of something weird that might be going on.
Yeah. You guys want to talk about Buttcoin a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like the article said, it's like a troll site. And I just went on it and clicked on a couple tabs.
I just like the logo. That's the first thing I saw.
Yeah, they like parodied the Bitcoin font, or I guess it's like, is it the official Bitcoin font, or is it just like, I don't know.
Yeah, some weird thing. It does look like Bitcoin though, yeah.
Yeah, and then they have like a little, that orangey, goldish circle thing. Instead of a B with the hashes through it, it's like a butt. Yeah. But they have one tab on their site that says, why should I invest in Bitcoins? And if you click on it, there's a GIF of a guy pooping out coins profusely, like extremely fast. And it just says, don't. And then, on the GIF, it also says, make some today. And it's just this butt pooping out coins.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and then, I don't know, some of the stuff on here, it's like, I can't even figure out. They have some long thing that's supposed to be proving that all Bitcoins are butt coins. It's like this logical argument or whatever, but I didn't have the patience to go through it. There's like a Venn diagram. In one circle it says people who know nothing about math. In another circle, people who know nothing about investing. In another circle, people who know nothing about currency. And then in the middle is the Bitcoin logo.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't actually see this on here, but it would have been interesting if they actually made a Buttcoin altcoin. That would have been weird.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of just like a troll site. I can't really tell if the people on this are actually against Bitcoin or they're just trying to be funny.
Right. I feel like the kind of people who are actually against Bitcoin, I feel like they wouldn't have enough initiative or care to make something this similar to Bitcoin. Like, I could see them making a website like legitimately describing why Bitcoin is stupid, but I don't think they would make a joke like this.
It could just be some like internet troll who he's not for or against Bitcoin. He just thought it would make some people mad.
Yeah, or make some people laugh too. I mean, there are a lot of people who want to do that, so yeah.
Yeah, it could be just some third party.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's interesting. They have 2,051 followers on Twitter, so that's kind of legit.
Yeah. I guess today is like our conspiracy theory day.
That's true.
Trying to figure out who started Buttcoin, who's Satoshi.
Well, Buttcoin might not even be anonymous. It might even have the email is toot@buttcoin.org.
Maybe Satoshi started Buttcoin.
Yeah.
This is all just this huge elaborate ruse.
On the contact page, it says, "Hey dumbasses, if you're gonna send me a link to some obscure blockchain where no one knows what is going on, leave a workable email," and then parentheses, "not anon@her.dir," so I can ask for further clarification. Maybe that's Satoshi's anonymous email, anon@her.dir.
I do like toot@buttcoin.org.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to episode 37. All of the music in today's show was from John Stewart. We'll see you next Thursday.